So you've said on your own podcast, I think a couple of times, that sort of athlete development is your primary interest. Can you sort of explain what athlete development means?
So basically, I guess the backstory to all this too is a good way to kind of fill the gap there. When I was younger, so I played a lot of sport and I always loved sport. But I was never the greatest athlete ever. But what I figured out is by being as fit as I possibly could and as strong as I possibly could, you could kind of close the gap on some of those better athletes. But growing up, I never had anyone, there was no one to turn to help you learn how to do that. So that's kind of where that passion for that, for athlete development kind of began. So that's kind of what I see that athlete development field as is.
So what are you developing? Is it like game IQ? Is it just physical fitness and preparedness, or is it like a whole bunch of different things?
I guess it depends on the specific athlete in the sport, but generally just the strength and conditioning side of things. So generally looking at the physical and neurological capacities, that's pretty much basically the majority of it. Trying to physically prepare an athlete as best you possibly can for their sport.
So do you get the chance to do a lot of that sort of stuff now? Yeah,
I'm kind of fortunate where I do get to do quite a bit of that at the moment, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, well, like what sort of athletes are you working with? Like what sports?
So it kind of varies. Lots of rugby. I've been fortunate enough to work with a lot of female rugby players here in Canberra.
Yeah, because that's sort of growing quite a bit at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's one of the ones where there's still that it's not quite fully professional yet. Even the girls who play for, say, the Brumbies.
Yeah, so you've probably got a little bit more work to do, maybe.
Yeah, and they're not kind of, like, they do the best they can. Obviously, those clubs with the limited money they get for the women's game, but they're not kind of fully looked after. So the girls who are kind of really looking to fill that gap between what they fill that gap for and what they need, they kind of look for places to turn to. And private sector strength and conditioning in Australia is still very underdeveloped. Most athletes don't even realise it's an actual thing.
What do you mean, like the what's underdeveloped about it? Like there's just not that much of it, or is it the quality?
There's just not that much, and there's just not the awareness around it. Okay. So in America, I keep comparing to America because they're kind of the ones who pioneered this type of stuff. But in America, there's a lot of professional athletes who will go and work with these private sector coaches in their off seasons.
And some of them are quite big, quite well known.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they'll sort of do like prep, almost like prep school for combine and...
Yeah.